Sippers, welcome to this episode of the Tea With Me podcast. Cheers. It's a Wednesday episode. I'm flying solo. I believe I can fly. Can we still sing R. Kelly songs? Probably not. I don't know if there's a lockdown loophole where you're allowed to still appreciate R. Kelly, Michael Jackson, all those guys. Michael's innocent. He wasn't. But we've got a lot to get through today. Okay, we've got loads to get through actually. Got listeners' questions. Going to tell you a little bit about what I've been watching on the old Netflix, and of course we're going to do TripAdvisor. Last week I brought that feature back where I look at some hotspots in Northern Ireland and go through the worst TripAdvisor comments. It's back, it's bigger, it's better. I don't know if it's better because I haven't done it yet, but that's the way it is. I just done the Boytown podcast. I'm podcasted out, guys. I'm taking my shoes off. Fuck it, it's my house. There's also a building site beside where I live, because they're putting an extension onto my house. We're going from 75 bedrooms to 1,000. So there might be some noise, but the builder's going to build. It's just one of those things. It's unavoidable. Good news this week is that, not in the grand scheme of things, basically in general, a vaccine would be good news, apart from the guys who are like, no mate, you can't do, people that think Bill Gates is trying to kill everyone. I don't mean that. I mean, my Waterfront Hall date has been moved. So my that's like my big stand-up show for the year. The big Belfast show was supposed to be on the 3rd of October, but we were sort of 50-50 on whether that would go ahead. And we're pretty sure that if that does go ahead, it would be reduced capacity. And it's not that far away from being sold out. So it would be an awkward situation where some people that had bought tickets wouldn't be able to go. So the best thing to do is just move it. So we've moved that to February. So I'm delighted to say I'm doing the Waterfront Hall in Belfast. One of the best goddamn venues you'll ever see. Just built for live performances. Obviously it's a hall, but I did it last year and it was the best night I've ever had performing in many ways. So come and check that out. The tickets are on the Waterfront Hall website. Shane Todd, it's my brand new stand-up show called Somebody Told Me, which is kind of a wee bit about everything. It's one of those ones where look, it's just funny stuff, but the running theme is urban myths, because we all hear urban myths whenever we're a kid. Somebody's like, here, do you know there, for example, I got told in this electricity pylon there was a fella who lived in it called Buckwheat. Would that have been right? Buckwheat, that's right. There was a guy called Buckwheat, and he was made he was a man who got electrocuted years ago, and Buckwheat lived near my mum's in this electricity pylon. Did he exist? I don't know, but that's the beauty of urban myths. You don't know if they're true or not, and I've compiled the best ones I've ever been told, and I'll tell those on stage, and we'll just do stand up about a load of other things. Also, here's a wee disclaimer. Whenever we get the stand-up tour, the whole tour is going to be rescheduled, by the way, for early next year, just to give us time to get it right, because I want to get back to stand-up so bad, but I want the tour shows to be really good, and I want everybody, including myself, to be relaxed, having a good time. So I hope we're being responsible and moving them to next year. As much as that is a hit in many ways, I think it's the right thing to do for everybody. So, oh yeah, there's going to be no mention, I've decided, of lockdown, of coronavirus, or I don't think Brexit in my new stand-up show. So if people are like, I bet you every comedian's going to be talking about this, I will not be. Okay, so let's not talk about all that kind of stuff. And it's just going to be silly fun. So tickets are on, we'll put a link on the podcast as well, but hopefully the sippers can come out and see it. The Waterfront Hall, you can see on their website when you look at the seat picker or the seat selector or whatever it's called, there is not that many tickets left for it, so I hope that sells out kind of soon. So if you want to come to it, come to it. And then there's loads of it. See, next year, it's annoying because there's loads of really exciting stand-up stuff happening for me, but it's next year. But it is something to look forward to. Also, before we really get into it on the pod, I got a TV series. Hey, go on the way, man. On BBC. So you might have seen a couple of weeks ago I was posting about my TV show previously with Shane Todd, where I look at old clips from the BBC archive and kind of take the piss out of them a wee bit in front of a live audience. That's happening. we've got a series, but it's not going to be, it'll be on actually this summer, I think, towards the end of the summer. I mean, I really should know that, but I don't. But I'm filming that all in the house. So it's going to be a proper lockdown series. So that's previously with Shane Todd. It's going to have 3 episodes. I'm buzzing about that. I actually haven't posted about it or anything because I'm really excited about it. But it's only because lockdown is lockdown, and there's like, see, cutting the grass becomes such a big part of your day where you're like, right, I got that TV show, but then again, I've got to cut the grass. So I maybe even won't post about it until the time, because I don't know. I feel like it's even putting the tickets on sale for the Waterfront show. In a way, there's part of me that's like, I feel bad even going, come and check this out, even though I know it'll be next year and stuff. And even just being like, hey, I got a TV series. Part of me feels like, I don't know, it's a shit time for so many people. I mean, it's shit time for all of us to varying degrees. I don't have it bad, definitely, compared to people that have sick relatives, all that kind of thing. So I don't know if I want to be going the wee man's class. Check this out, but I am buzzing about it, and hopefully you can all tune into it. And we'll chat about it in the next couple of weeks when I know more about it. Should be fun. Let me take a big sip of tea here. So the TripAdvisor thing I do is this. We go on TripAdvisor. None of these reviews are made up. They're all the real ones. You can see it if you go on. I pick a different place every week, but I don't look at these in advance, right? Because the last time we did it, and it's always funny when it makes me proper crack up. So I'm just going to trawl through these. Bear with me. I'm going to find the best ones. This week, we're going to look at the Apple Green in Lisburn. The Apple Green is a service station. Surely people aren't going to be really passionate about giving bad reviews to a service station. Who leaves these reviews? Your dad 100% leaves reviews for service stations and glory holes. But let's see what people are saying about now, I've been to this Apple Green in Lisburn. I would describe it as dead on. It's got everything you need. You've got a Subway, you've got a Lavazza, a big fan of Lavazza coffee. You can get your diesel, you can get whatever. I don't know who would really have a problem with it. But let's see some of those people. So I'm filtering the reviews by terrible. And there's 32 people found the time to write a terrible review of the Apple Green service station in Lisburn. Let's start with the first one. Burger King, not really king. I feel like this guy has had a bad burger experience and he's really tried to mug them off with this zinger of a line to open it up. Burger King, really not king. After suffering many horrendous meals at this outlet, hey mate, why are you going back? Why, if you have one, as you call it, horrendous meal somewhere, why are you continually going? I go every day, but I get the shits. Stop going, mate. At the drive-thru, I ordered 2 Whopper meals, one with everything and one with just cheese and onion. How hard could that be? It couldn't be hard, mate. But what are you going to tell me next? Well, obviously harder than I thought possible. Not only were the burgers incorrect, both were warm at best. I mean, that's what you want from a burger. You don't describe something as it was warm at best. It was spot on at best. Burgers are supposed to be warm. They're not supposed to be scalding. The chips were just plain cold. Please, someone at Burger King read this and give your staff a bloody good shake. Burger King head office, like, oh fuck, guys, what are you doing? This fella's having a nightmare. He's giving them a real bad review there. Someone called Suki writes, on Boxing Day we were called at the service station. On Boxing Day we called at the service station. I needed to use the disabled toilet. The loo seat was covered in human waste. Lifted the seat and underneath was just as bad. And so was the porcelain rim. So it sounds like a lot of shit here. Before you say that it could have been the person before, well, it wasn't. The dirt looked like it had been rubbed in. Also, there was not any soap. I mean, yeah, people do that. You know, I think there is people that go about and enjoy doing that. But how does she know it wasn't the person before? Harry's girl. I better not be Harry Styles, by the way, because I'm Harry's boy. Leaves a review saying, rubbish food, poor customer service. Just called in for some lunch. I ordered the chicken crispy burger and double cheeseburger. My chicken was burnt. I took it up to the server to change. He said that it wasn't the way they are. He's trying to do a Jedi mind trick. She's like, this is burnt. And the guy's like, nah, that's not the way it is. Well, but it's burnt. I know, but that's not the way it is. I watched as they lifted a triangle of processed chicken from a plastic box and put it in the microwave to give it to me. Hence, I threw it in the bin. They were joking. Never again. Staff need training in customer service, as while serving myself and another paying customer, they laughed and joked amongst themselves in their language, which isn't English. Yeah, because if it was English, you wouldn't need to call it their language. What nationality are all the people that work at Burger King there? Klingon? Mark just writes that you can tell Mark is zero crack at a house party because he starts his by writing hygiene. That's his big heading at the top. I was in the Apple Green Lisburn today at 4:15 for something to eat. We were surprised with the lack of hygiene in the toilets. I mean, why even if the hygiene is bad in a service station toilets, why is it surprising you? Like, I'm not going into service station toilets going, oh, I bet you this is beautiful. I may eat my dinner off this seat. The seating area was distractful. I think he means disgraceful. Seats dirty, tables dirty, floors dirty. Sounds like a Lil Jon song. The food was good. And when we were leaving, a cleaner turned up. He was wiping tables with a cloth he rinsed in a bucket of brown water. Lovely example of cleanliness. Won't be back. Maybe it was just brown lemonade and he was just sweetening the place up. Yeah, people just fucking hate this. Still waiting on my sandwich. One member of staff to serve 10 people at times. Disgraceful. That was left in 2019. And that Fred is still waiting for a sandwich. So sort him out because he's absolutely starving. Jenny D from Ballymena gets in touch. Stopped off after a run in Kilbrony. Alright, that's a humble brag. We get it, you're a runner, you're running in the forest. Alright. Was tired and all I wanted was something to eat as I just ran 10k. Jenny, shut up. Oh, just for... I mean, I was a bit tired because obviously I'm a fucking machine. We were told to join the queue at the bottom, which we did. Jenny's acting like she shouldn't have been told to join the queue because she'd ran 10k. Guys, I've ran 10k. My boyfriend went, okay, and you've got a boyfriend as well. Jesus Christ. My boyfriend got us some coffee while I waited to order. A young lad took my order and disappeared in the back. When I got to the till, a staff member called Shammy was taking the payment. Shammy. I mean, I feel like I probably could be Shamey. I mean, it's probably a Shamey in denial. You know what I mean? It's probably a Shamey who's like, I need to get out there and be more exotic. Lads, stop calling me Shamey. I'm the artist formerly known as Shamey. From now on, it's Shammy. I asked if I could add to my order and he started ranting they were too busy and to join the queue at the back. I tried to explain to the young fella that took my order had walked away before I had a chance and he just kept ranting to join the queue. I mean, that's how queues work. I told him I wouldn't be back and how rude he was. I took his name and told him I'd be making a complaint. Named and shamed Shammy. How rude are you? I mean, Shammy sounds like the person has made it up just to get rid of Jenny because Jenny is a complete nightmare here. I'm from Ballymena. I just ran 10k. What's your name? Shammy. Right, I'll be reporting you. Phone's Apple Green headquarters. Listen, I've got a complaint to make about Shammy. Who the fuck's Shammy? Jenny. Oh my god. Do you know what? Let's go into Jenny's profile and see if she's... one contribution. One contribution. Jenny set up an account on TripAdvisor to leave that review. Fair play. Hashtag Team Shammy. People just absolutely slagging. This person just writes, and this is so dramatic. Robbed at Bakewell. I was robbed at the Bakewell. Had an appointment to set... By the way, this person starts this with southbound. Alright, you're not a fucking cowboy. Southbound. Had an appointment, decided to get the kids some breakfast. Why was this written by John Wayne? Told me they only had tea or coffee, no other option. My child not drink that, you mad? and I've never had either. I haven't even heard of the ones I got charged for. Yeah, this person's a Wild West cowboy from the 1780s. Member of staff who should not be employed. Connor writes this from Castlewellan. I'm currently sitting at the southbound Applegreen on my way home. Right, you can tell he's fucking raging because he's still in the Applegreen as he writes this. He's went and got his laptop from the car. I stand at my car for a good 5 minutes waiting on the pump to be authorised as I see the lady inside just taking her time, walking to the till. What do you want her to do? I mean, I'm ripping. She wasn't full sprint. She wasn't Usain Bolt on her way to the till. I walk to the night hatch. Sounds a bit seedy. And hear her tapping at me to hurry up. I say hello, no response. I give her my card and she gives it back and aggressively slides another hatch open. I insert my... I mean, that's just the way those hatches are, you know what I mean? Like, they're metal. I insert my card and she walks away, sits at her chair, feet up, playing on her phone. Customer service at her finest. I mean, Connor, you nerd, you wrote that at the time. What a telltale tit. Horrible staff. Lorraine says awful. It's just like a big barn. It echoes and it's cold. It's an Applegreen, mate. Okay, it's an Applegreen. Oh, it's an echo. Lorraine's raging. Is it just me or is there a fucking echo in here? In here, in here, in here. See what I mean? It was the worst Burger King I ever experienced. It was cold. The cheese was not even the slightest bit melted. They got the order wrong even though there was no queue. Terrible. Put me off. I won't contemplate going to an Applegreen ever again. Dead on, mate. When your petrol light comes on, you're heading towards Ballymena, you'll pull in. Avoid the ATM, the exchange rate, cold. Everyone's just slagging off Burger King, basically. I want one that's really personal. People saying like the staff tap the window. I mean, there is a hatch, like they kind of have to. Connor from Newry gets in touch. Stopped in yesterday after a trip to IKEA for a snack. Myself and my father had a combination of Subway due to having reward points to use and chopsticks. Who are these two absolute madmen, Connor and his dad, being like, part of me feels like Subway, but part of me feels like chopsticks. Fusion. Alright, these guys are absolutely living the dream, mixing it up from all corners of the world. I have to say I was extremely disappointed with the chopsticks. Firstly, I was overcharged for 2 spring rolls and a portion of chips. Secondly, as well as the inner part of the spring roll dough was raw, the filling was absolutely awful. It was supposed to be curried veg, but it was sweet with no taste. The chips were charged at $2.50. They were cold and limp. So was my dick reading this, Connor. On the upside, at least the Subway sandwich was tasty. That's good, thank God. Dave Hanna. Disgusting gents. Just an Applegreen Lisburn. Oh my God, gents are disgusting. Mop sitting in the corner, so the cleaners must be here. Who's managing this? I mean, ask that at the time, not on an internet forum. Right, give me one more here to finish this off. This person doesn't leave their name. Just says they're from Ireland. They entitled their trip to the Applegreen massive letdown. I mean, who's going with great expectations? Listen, say at Applegreen, fucking don't hold your breath. It's not the best experience you're ever gonna have. Stopped on a Sunday afternoon for a quick bite to eat. Parked easily enough. I mean, good start. The place wasn't that busy. Stood in line at Subway for 20 minutes only to find the one and only bread my daughter eats had run out. Your daughter sounds like a bit of a fussy bastard. I asked I'd be the same. I'd be like, is that gluten free? I asked how long it would be until more was ready and got a rude and sarcastic explanation on proofing and cooking. I mean, that's not sarcastic. If they're like, well, it'll take 20 minutes for us to cook a new batch, that's not sarcastic. A simple time frame would have done. This guy sounds like great crack. After using the toilets, which were fine, we left. It'll be a long time before I bother stopping there again. The concessions appeared to be overwhelmed with the volume of people, as all had long lines. The place was noisy and untidy and not what you'd expect from an Applegreen. It's a far cry from the excellence of the Dublin apple greens. I mean, nationalist response. Very nationalist here. Dennis, no Wi-Fi again. Don't know why they advertise free Wi-Fi. Every time I enter, a waiter always tells me it's not working again. Why? Why? One last one. This is a 1-star review for the apple green. It says, OMG. Stopped here on my way home. Grabbed some fast food as time was short. Stopped here on the way home. Grabbed some fast food as time was short. Didn't make it home before soiling myself. Dreadful experience. They shit themselves on the way home, basically. Well, 1-star review. Here, what's that apple green like? Fucking shit myself on the way home. Stopped here on the way home. Grabbed some fast food as time was short. That sounds pretty good so far. Didn't make it home before soiling myself. Dreadful experience. I mean, that is a dreadful experience. But it's maybe not the apple green's fault. You know? There's no comma or full stop between soiling myself and dreadful experience. It's all just, it just sounds like a song. Soiled myself, dreadful experience. That sums it up. Good time there? Nah. Shit myself on the way home. Alright, cheers, man. Soiled myself, dreadful experience. What about just to finish, anyone who's left an excellent review? Like who it's weird to go there and slag it off, but who's coming home from the apple green being like, fucking yes, mate, buzzing with this one. I feel like anyone who's written a good review of the apple green works for the apple green. Rob writes 5 stars, right? Rob can't get enough of the apple green. He absolutely loves it. A clean spot to pit stop, relax, have a snack, coffee, or just chill. Hey Rob, don't chill at a service station. It's not a chill, it's convenient. You know what I mean? Work's doing my head in here. May head the apple green here, may head the service station. The petrol's always well priced. My friend and I often pop in and play chess and drink apple green coffee. An excellent blend and fairly priced. Always found the staff to be friendly and efficient. You know why you think that? Because you are one of the staff. 100%. 100%. Some people are like, here, it's great to chill. What's not to like? Great place to relax, a regular halt. I mean, what I like there is you got people who absolutely hate it. And on the other side of it, you've got people who absolutely love the apple green. Comment on the podcast and let me know where I should review. Because I feel like that was more for Burger King. When we did it last week, people were more like really giving off about stuff. So if you've ever read a TripAdvisor review of somewhere and gone, oh no, these aren't good, I need to know about it. What we're going to do in the podcast now is we're going to get properly into listeners' questions you submit. But before I do that, let me just plug the Patreon. Why would I plug the Patreon? Because every Monday you get a bonus episode, a Patreon only episode. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. Also, I'll give more details on this as I get them, but we're going to do a Patreon live. We're going to do a live episode of Tea With Me. We're going to have a live tea party while we're all in lockdown. If you're in Patreon, you'll get a code to get access to that for free. If not, it may be like 2 or 3 quid, or it might just be only Patreon. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. Main producer Dan do like a wee cheeky bonus episode for you guys on a Monday. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. On with the pod. We're back. We're going to do listeners' questions. We're going to get through it. But what I enjoy in the time being is I can hear the builders on the building site beside me are listening to Prince, Purple Rain. And I like to think they've downed tools temporarily. And they're just really, really like getting close with each other. I mean, social distancing. I like to think from a distance they're really like intensely staring at each other and just really feeling that song, because that is a very, very sexual song, Prince and Purple Rain. Speaking of sexual, I've been watching Too Hot to Handle on Netflix, which if you like Love Island, like if you like programs that are like so bad that they're good, you don't know why you're plugging that show. It's not going to happen. If you like shows like Love Island that are really cringe, but you can't stop at watching it, you definitely need to watch Too Hot to Handle. These people go to an island, they think they're going to have sex flat out, and the plot twist is if you kiss each other, do anything sexual, it takes away from the money pot that you can win at the end. And hey, some bad bears are eating from the honey pot, because we're about 3 episodes in, and they started off with 100 grand and they've got about 12.50 left. Well worth watching. Very, very enjoyable. Also, it's so funny on programs like that, because anyone who goes on it clearly like wants to be famous through anything. So they're willing to like go on, have sex on TV, have it watched by like tens of millions of people, or I don't know how many views something like that gets. And it's like you can see the desperation where they're all so unaware of themselves as well. Same with loads of those shows, like most people on them. Like you get some people who are just like, obviously they are just doing it for the crack, but it's people who you can see trying to form a character for when they get to the outside, because that's when they'll make money on like Instagram. Oh. Speaking of Instagram, I don't want to dwell on this, but someone told me about this website you can use where you can see if people have bought followers, right? So what you do is you put in someone's username and it tells you about their followers, and it says like how many percentage are like legit people that follow you and what are robots. And then it'll show you country by country people that follow your account where they are. So if you think someone's a bit suspicious and you're like, there's no way they have that many followers, you can put them into this thing and it'll tell you. And hey, I put some people in and they're from here as well, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just have big followings in India. I don't know. Maybe like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think these people... I think there's probably 3 Indian guys who know my stand-up. Like, in fact, no. Yeah, I think if I spent enough time in Mumbai, eventually a guy would come up to me and go, mate, love the McGoldrick videos. One guy, at best. But some local personalities seem to have big followings in the likes of India and Brazil, and I just want to say, great work. No, it is mental. You can properly put the username in and see what the crack is, and it's an eye-opener. It's an eye-opener, folks. We got listeners' questions here. I'm going to go through the... Oh, right, yeah. One thing I want to do before we do that, you know that we've been doing this for a couple of weeks. We've been... hang on, I just got an invoice or something. Is it... Oh, yeah, great. I love when you get an invoice and it's not that much and you go, that's really reasonable, because everybody's happy. Yeah, before we move on, we do have charity appeals to do. If you have like a fundraising thing you're doing or anything you think we could bring a bit of light to, we do a very quick chat about it on the podcast. Get in touch, teawithmepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll give it as best a platform as we can. What I want to highlight this week, I'm trying to bring up the best place for it, is Marcus Keane. So you all know I'm a big Irish League man. Love my Irish League football. I know a lot of people who listen to. Marcus and his family have undertaken a big fundraising thing called Hike for Harry, right? Which is they're basically trying to raise, I think 10 grand is the target for Royal Victoria Hospital maternity. So that's what they're raising money for. It's in honor of their son, who really tragically passed away, and Marcus is basically like trying to get a load of people to. I think the idea is to like get outside basically and hike and go for a run and do that kind of thing. And make a donation, and they want as many people to support it as possible. I'm going to do something in the morning. Yeah, the morning that this episode comes out, I'm going to go and do a hike and support this cause. The Just Giving link for it we'll put in the description of this podcast. But essentially, the guys are trying to raise 10 grand to help with the bereavement care at the Royal Maternity Hospital, and you can read about their story and why they're doing it. So, fantastic cause. that they're raising money for. If we can support it on the podcast, we will. And I'm gonna get the old walking shoes on tomorrow and go and literally support it. So fair play, guys, for doing that. Listeners' questions time. We've got quite a few questions coming in from the sippers, and let's get through them right now. By the way, the Friday episode of this podcast, I'll have a guest on, but I don't know exactly who it is just yet. Yep, okay. There's someone slobbering. Adam Gillian says, ever dipped a biscuit into your tea only for half of it to break off and deep dive it to the bottom of the golden brown sea? Look, who hasn't? I mean, it's essentially how you go from a boy to man. You come through that experience. That experience will make or break you, pretty much. And I think the thing to do is relax, because if you're flustered and you're trying to dig the biscuit out, you're going to drop it back in again. Take a breath, look at yourself in the mirror and say, yes, I can. Okay? And then what you do is you just go in with your hand and you bring that bit of biscuit out and you look at it and you say, I'll never leave a man behind. No man left behind. And then you eat it. Essentially, you save it and then you kill it by eating it. Yes, it's happened to me before. Obviously, everyone jokes that rich teas are the main biscuit that happens with, but it can happen to any of us. You have a custard cream in the tea, you get a bit cocky. All right, you're acting the fucking Billy Big Bollocks. I'm having this in for 10 seconds before you know it, you bring it out, and you're missing the wee bit inside, the wee custard bit, or the cream bit that would be, or I don't know. But it happens to us all. Yes, that's happened absolutely, and it's fucking terrible when it does. Matthew says, how's quarantine going? Do you get special privileges because you're a big celebrity in supermarkets? Are you able to skip the line? No is the answer to that, and that's horseshit, because that's not the way it should be. I honestly thought when lockdown started, somebody would give me a shout, like the government, and go, listen mate, this is what it is for you kind of guys. I was really hoping like maybe another big celebrity like Barabas. I thought maybe Barabas would phone me up and go, listen mate, welcome to the club. And he would send me like a wee card, like a silver card, and it doesn't say anything on it, but you just kind of show it at certain places and they go, get in here, queue jump. But that doesn't seem to have happened, or maybe I'm just not at that level yet. I mean, that's a joke, because I would be, because I'd be like one of the big, I'd be one of the biggest guys, I would say, physically and profile wise. People love me. I'm like to think of myself as the nation's little brother or whatever. I don't want everyone to start that, but if everyone thinks of me as the NI Princess Diana or whatever, the nation's sweetheart, I don't know. I don't want you to start. No, because you'll start flipping saying that. Cut that out. I'll keep it in. No, it doesn't happen. Look, I also like to keep a low profile, Matthew. I don't show off who I am, and I could do, but I keep the head down and I'm in it with the people. I'm in the queue sometimes when I go to Asda. Although, don't get me wrong, I don't think this makes me a bad person. If a member of staff came out and in front of everyone went, Shane Todd, do you want to just bunk the queue, mate? Because I like some of your videos. I would be past everyone before you could say you're not social distancing. I'd literally touch people to get them out of the way and go, excuse me, you're not comedically talented. And some people go, now are you dickhead? And I go, yes, but I'm the nation's little brother. So I would, but it hasn't really happened yet. Not in the supermarkets. It hasn't. There's really no perks to being moderately well known. No discount. Nah. It is kind of bullshit, but that's just the way it is. And I mean, a lot of people will be surprised to actually go and do my own shopping, but there you go. If I can do it, you guys are probably thinking I'm too good to go and do this or that. Listen, all you need to know is the nation's little brother does his own shopping. The nation's little brother. But don't think of me as that. If you're only think of me as that, if you're older than me, if you're younger than me, think of me as like your cool older brother. I don't know. Let me have a think about what I want to be known as, but I do like the nation's little brother. I don't know. The boy next door. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Asa says, favorite pastry? Favourite pastry? So I can't really eat pastry anymore because I have a special tummy. Because I've got that straight up Crohn's disease, and I don't eat gluten or dairy, so that rules pastries out. But back in the day, whenever I was in and amongst the pastry game, I loved. Hey, builders, turn that radio up. I love the pain de chocolat, and what I like most about the pain de chocolat is saying pain de chocolat. Pain de chocolat. I like a pain de chocolat. I like the. No, I think we all have an experimental jambon phase, and you either become a jambon guy for life, or you leave that behind in your past. But there was a while when I was on the jambons. I like a pain de chocolat. I like a croissant. Croissant and a cup of tea was always good. I remember when I was in Paris for a Northern Ireland football match during the Euros a couple of years ago, and I got a croissant in like this wee French bakery beside where I was staying, and it smelt unreal. And when I tasted it, it was really dry. And I remember thinking, I've had nicer croissants in Centras in Belfast. But yeah, big fan of that kind of pastry. This comes from G, keeping it very vague, who just says, do you think there's a committee in Belfast who decide what sayings we should use for specific scenarios? Or, for example, COVID lockdown, people say, it's a nightmare all this, so it is. Yeah, and I think I've noticed this. Phrases have become, people are forcing them more now, and people are shining a light more on our phrases, if that makes sense. So the prime example is, that's us now, right? That's us now, right? So that people have been saying that for years and years and years, but it had a wee bit of a resurgence to the point where, you see it on t-shirts, or people like say it in this like wink wink nudge nudge way, but then that ruins it in the original way. So anybody who would have said it before, when they say it now, I roll my eyes and I'm like, oh, shut up. But it was a great phrase, but now it's been ruined because we do this whole like, that's us, nah, we do this like thing. And I think we need to stop doing that and just let the phrases be more organic. Like we still bet, like wind your neck in is still a real phrase. So it has been lost. So it sounds like now when you do that, you're getting it on the second wave, but that goes against people who were on. So it is on the first wave, like Jim McDonald. I'm sure he's ripping about it. But when I see like slogan t-shirts and stuff for local phrases, no, I don't like that. My willy kind of goes back up inside me when I see those. But I don't know. Yeah, people do say that about lockdown. They say people just go, it's terrible, isn't it? Listen. People go, when all this is over, it's gonna be weird going back to normal. But what is a new normal? I don't think I use any phrases quite a lot. I definitely don't say so it is. So it is doesn't make sense, because you're just reaffirming what you've said. Oh, it's cold out there, so it is. So it is. I know you've said it, so why are you saying it again? I don't know. I don't like it when people parody the phrases. There we go. I mean, with Mike McGoldrick, I probably did that with yourself. Yourself anyway. But but the reason I love that phrase is because it doesn't make sense. It's just one of those local phrases. Yourself. Well, no, you're telling me. Yeah, we've got a question from Matt Murph, who says, are we boycotting the Mirror newspaper after disrespecting you with the Jamie Lee O'Donnell article? So I mentioned before, this is so weird, right? But this happens on the podcast a wee bit. If we have a guest on who's famous, anytime we talk about something that seems innocuous, it is in like a paper, or it's mentioned in a web article or something. And 9 out of 10 times it gets credited back to the podcast, which is all I want. Like, I don't care. People make stories. It's good for the podcast. With the Jamie Dornan episode, I don't know if I mentioned it, but we had Jamie Dornan on the podcast there. Yeah, man, I don't like to talk about it, but Jamie on guys do that, don't they? Like lads, 100% go like that when they mention something they think is class. Like that woman saying about run the 10k. Anytime guys, myself included, talk about running long distances, the voice gets a bit grovelier and you run out of breath a bit more. I just started doing those, started doing the park runs. You know, it is, I'm getting a PB, you know. What? What'd you say? I was just saying, I've been doing the old park runs there, mate, and it's you know, I'm trying to fuel up and get the hydration on board. No, just speak, you know. But with the Jamie Dornan episode, it got covered by dozens of like massive publications that picked up on a couple of stories that he talked about, which is weird as well to do, because it makes it so out of context, and I'm sure like real celebrities hate that, because it looks so wrong. What, you know, it's all context, and stories like that take things out of context. But anyway, that's not my issue. My issue is when people do stories about the podcast, which is weird and kind of fun. It's when they don't quote the source. It's when they don't go, this was taken from a podcast, here's more info about the podcast. Even just the name of it would be more than enough. Just basically being like, here, cheers for giving us this story. But a couple of times it hasn't happened. And people like Matt send me the stories and be like, mate, they're at you here. And then I email the author and go, what's a crack here? Come on, that's bad etiquette. And anytime I've done it, to be fair, the people that have written the story, do you know what? If it wasn't for lockdown, I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't be doing those emails, but it feels like anything that happens at the minute gets exaggerated. You know what I mean? Like your own experiences suddenly becomes more of a bigger deal. Didn't mention the article, gotta send an email. I'm those Apple Green people. I'm slagging people for reviewing Apple Greens. I'm like, why did you not say about the podcast? Ugh. But yeah, it happened. And that one you sent me was the Daily Mirror, the showbiz guy at the Daily Mirror, and it picked up on a story about the Jamie Lee O'Donnell article, where she was talking about guys always asking her for pictures of her feet. That became a news story, which is in itself bizarre. But I emailed the guy and said, hi, you got this from my podcast, but you've made it look like it was your conversation. That's what pisses me off about it, because they make it seem like they were the ones doing the interview. And he got back to me and he's like, yeah, sorry. They always go, yeah, you know, it must have been taken out by the editor. Nah. But anyway, they do, like, he did apologise and he's like, I don't make a habit out of that. And I was going to reply, say that you don't, so it is. But I didn't. I was happy enough with that. But yeah, it is weird when it happens. Ross says, describe the type of folk who might frequent the soon-to-be Tea With Me cafe. Oh, I mean, Ross, you have way more faith in this podcast than I do if you're thinking we should have our own premises. But I like that idea. I think we would have our cafe. You know what I think we should do? Because the Apple Green is cold and echoey, according to people, I think we should have our own pit stop station. But we don't do like petrol. We don't do diesel. We don't have a chopsticks in it or anything like that. And that's not being racist. We don't have anything bar just like bespoke teas. Would you like that? Because when I drive along, I sometimes bring a wee flask if I'm going on a road trip. But I'd love it if I was like, I'll just nip in here for a tea. Because I don't want to go into service stations because it's hassle to pull over and all that. And my battery knocked off there, which is pretty class. I see in the cafe, Ross, I just see like down to earth, nice people who enjoy tea. You know, we're a little bit outside of the box. We're going against this sort of coffee drinking culture. So I think it's a lot of just straight talking people. Not just straight people, by the way. In fact, if I'm being honest, the majority of people I see in there are bisexual. You know, and that's kind of the way you got to be if you're a tea drinker, because you've got to adapt, because a lot of places you go will just do coffee, so you've got to be willing to be like, all right, I'll have coffee for now, but I prefer to be having tea, which is probably what you're like. Not you specifically, Ross. I don't know what your sexuality is, I don't know what mine is, but you know, here's the thing, you know, it's all good, all things are, you know, you got to try every experiment. What I'm saying, especially when it comes to tea, and you never know. It's, you know, best to just try everything, and then, you know, process of elimination, you'll kind of know what you're into, unless you just want to always be bisexual. But yeah, I'd say it would just be cool people. You know, I'd say there'll be a good soundtrack, because in a real coffee place, they're going to be really worried about like having cool music. You know, it'll be like an old Bowie LP, or like, you know, Who else are music type guys? I could see them putting on a little bit of, Primal Scream or something like that, and that's the only other band I can think of right now. But I see in the tea place, I see if we feel like going Scissor Sisters, we go Scissor Sisters. There's no like, oh, but that's not cool. We're like, is it not? Or is it only the horses can find us tonight? I don't feel like dancing when the old in a place. That is, you can't deny that Jake and the boys from Scissor Sisters are lit. That's a good time. You're not going to have a bad time going to see the Scissor Sisters. And speaking of being bisexual, I would know because I've been to a Scissor Sisters concert and it was absolutely first class. My dad got given free tickets because he used to go out with Jake Shears from the Scissor Sisters. I think that's why. And he couldn't make it because I think looking at Jake, he'd be really sad. But he said to me, do you want these tickets? And me and my mate John went to see the Scissor Sisters and we had a fucking ball. It was brilliant, really good fun. So Ross, I'd say in answer to your question, try everything once, man, and just enjoy the ride. You can say that again. Matty De Niro Robinson says, or Robin, not Robin. Robin De Niro sounds like, sounds like Robert De Niro's brother. He's not a good actor at all. Robin De Niro. Starring Robin De Niro. He wouldn't be able to do the Robert De Niro face. And he'd get all the phrases wrong. Are you saying something to me? Are you saying something to me? Oh, that's enjoyable. Robin De Niro. Yes. But Matty De Niro's question is, what do you think McIlroy's up to in lockdown? I presume you mean Rory McIlroy, and you've hit a touchy subject because I've asked Rory to do the podcast and he has not written back to me. So he better be busy. Okay, he better be flat out, mister, if you're watching. I'm only joking. I presume he's just like busy being a professional golfer and probably just living a sweet life. But yeah, I've asked him to do the podcast and we'll see what happens. There's also a couple of guys I've put the feelers out to, a couple of guys and girls to get on the pod. Let's see what happens. Daniel Houston, if there's a history to the Money Toad nickname, what is it? Yeah, so as well as the nation's little brother and I guess the Princess Diana of comedy, which a lot of people are calling me, another nickname I have is the Money Toad. The Money Toad nickname comes from Dave Elliott gave me the nickname, and he said, or maybe it came from Boytown Podcast, a listener. He was just saying about how I am a guy who enjoys making money, and that's absolutely not wrong. That's why lockdown's very difficult for me because, the Money Toad is looking to, get his tongue out and rip it, like grab money with his tongue, but it's just not there because gigs aren't done anymore. So I think Dave identified that a weird personality trait about me is I like to make money. And the Money Toad just took off from there. It's one of those things where I don't know why it is a nickname, but I definitely enjoy it. People will call me the Money Toad out and about sometimes, and other people that I'm with will go, "Why are they calling you the Money Toad?" And I always go, "Don't worry about it." I never explain the Money Toad nickname because it is a weird one, but I enjoy it, and I'm just a Money Toad. If that's okay, Dan, I'm just the Money Toad. That's really what it is. Let me ask Dave. Call Dave Elliott.
Calling Dave Elliott.
Thank you. That's my my butler. I bet he doesn't answer. Come on. This guy's going to be doing nothing else. Don't let me down. Hate this. Absolutely hate this. He'll phone the second I stop doing the podcast. He'll phone me back. Let me leave him a voice note. Hold on. Oh no. Dave. Yep. David, phone me. Sorry. I just had to leave him that. Okay. We got more questions here. Ronan Kerrigan says, favourite film score or soundtrack? Favourite soundtrack to a film? The Departed has really good music in it. In the film The Departed, Van Morrison does a cover of Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb. And I think I've got that right. And it's 10 out of 10, brilliant. And they used it in The Sopranos after, just because they thought it was class in The Departed. So I enjoy that. Favourite score? Once Upon a Time in America, Robin De Niro. That film has a great score. Inception has a great score. This Is England. Yeah, I love a film with a really good soundtrack. It adds a lot for me. I'm trying to think any more off the top of my head. Good Morning Vietnam stands out. I had the CD of that soundtrack. It's really good. A lot of like Motown, a lot of music of the time. Obviously, I mean, it'd be weird if they put Justin Bieber on it, because he put out music after the film, way after the film was made. That is a business opportunity. Hello, Money Toad. That is not a question for the podcast. Belfast Guy in China, big friend of the pod, says, in case you have any questions about Belfast Guy in China, about either where he's from or his current location, I think it's pretty clear he's from Belfast and he's in China. He says, have you had any experiences, good or bad, with hecklers acting the maggot during a gig? Yes, I have had. By the way, hecklers are, for anyone who doesn't know, people who like shout out during a show, during a stand-up show. Stand-ups by and large hate it, even if you put someone down and it gets a big laugh, which it normally does. You still want to be doing your show. You know what I mean? It's like a distraction that you didn't plan. If it's happened to me 100 times, it's only been bad like a couple of times, mainly at the start, because you kind of find that, you know, when you are doing like nice stand-up shows and you've got a promoter, and like I'm really lucky to have now, like, you know, you're doing a tour in good venues with good staff. There's a line, like if you shout something out during a show, I'm gonna probably make a dick out of you. Any stand-up will. But if you persist, if I make a dick out of you and you just shout something out, or, you know, you're just being disruptive or rowdy, you're just going to get fucked out. It's as simple as that. The worst time I've had it is, and also I get that sometimes people have never been to see live stand-up and don't know that you shouldn't do it. People think they're joining in on the joke, and that's when you got to be like, hey, no, shush, shut up, and you scrab them. But the worst time, I don't know if I can think of a really bad one. One I hated was at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival years ago. There was a girl who just continually talked to me during the show. So like, I'd make a joke about like my wee brother or something, and she'd go, "Yeah, do you have a brother or not?" She was drunk, like, so she's like, "Who's your brother or not?" And that's just as an example, but it just kept going and going. And she was with a group of about 15 people, and if I was in like my mid-20s, they were like early 20s. So like a group of young people who were blocked. And at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, you flyer people to come into your show. You know, you basically say like, here's a flyer if you want to check out the show. It's on up there at midnight or whatever. And I was doing an afternoon show. These people came into it after I flyered them, and she was so disruptive. And I kept calling her out. So the first couple of times it happened, I'm being a bit playful. I'm not going to make a full dick out of you, but I will basically let you know, like, I'll always beat you at this back and forth. And I can be as harsh as you want, but I'm going to start off not harsh, and then we'll get there. And it was getting to the point where I was getting there. And I said, oh yeah. I was like, look, we're all trying to have a good time here. I said, I can just keep slagging you off, like, because you're ruining my show, or you can just leave. I was like, you know, I was like, I don't want to be rude, but feel free to leave, because if you're not getting what you want out of this show, you're wrecking it for everyone else and me, so it'd be best if you left. And she started to get really upset, and she's like, why are you saying this? And I was like, you're still talking. I was like, I'm doing a show here. And she went, as she was leaving, right, she looked at me like I'd killed every pet she'd ever had, and she said, like, you flyered to get me in here, in such a patronizing, dismissive way, as if being like, you advertised your show to me, so I'm entitled to act whatever way I want. And that's right, I asked for security to kick her out. That's never happened. Like, it's never happened to me. At the Fringe Festival, sometimes happens to people every day. They got to kick like drunk dickheads out of the show. I'd never had to do it. The security guy comes in, I'm like, thank God, there's my backup. But he just sits there. So he undermined me to everybody in the room. Everyone's like, we know he wants her out and she's not out. So it made her have the upper hand kind of, and it was terrible. I think I was really like, meh, to the staff after. You know, because the protocol is at the Fringe, it gets all set out beforehand. You let them know you want someone kicked out. The bouncer comes in, removes them, but it didn't happen. God, that was really bad. But good. Has it happened in a good way? Probably not really. Like, someone might shout out something funny, but like, we all know what our rules are there. The guy with the microphone standing on the stage does the talking, unless it's audience participation. In which case, that's great if you have a good back and forth with someone, but I don't know, it's just kind of annoying at times. Katrina says, you've mentioned, also, the best it's ever been was whenever I was doing the waterfront last year, and I was doing a story about my dad. Someone heckling me, which is true, by saying, your dad nicked my lawnmower, which is such a random shout. I said that towards the end of my set at the waterfront last year, I said, something that set up this thing, and someone shouted out from the audience, your dad nicked my lawnmower, and straight away I went, nah mate, they don't have gardens in Davis Flats. And it's not even that funny a response, but I think it's the speed in which he gave it back. And I hadn't thought, if someone shouts that, I'll say this, but that was really good. But what pissed me off is I put a clip of it up, and loads of people went, I say loads, 2 people went, you planted him. No. You know the way we have 6 degrees of separation? In Belfast, in Northern Ireland, it's 1 degree. We all know someone. So if I had said to somebody, here mate, I'll give you $6,000 if you shout this out at a certain point. Eventually he would have told someone. It would have, obviously I wouldn't do that, because there's also no guarantee that that's funny. And also, unless you're getting Robin De Niro to do it, nobody here is that good enough an actor where if I said to one of my mates, Dave, I'm on the podcast here, my podcast. Can you answer one thing for me, please?
Yeah.
Someone asked me where I got the nickname The Money Toad, or how that started. Do you know?
I don't. To be totally honest with you, I think I think you just were like talking about licking money or something, or licking it all up, or eating it up. I don't know. Is that not? It's
Eating
not
it
thing
up?
you do, no, just licking up that money, no.
Nah, I don't know. I thought you might shed some light on it, but you can't.
No, but I tell you what you should do. You should ask your listeners to go back on every episode of Boytown and try and find out.
Yeah, like an audio Where's Wally kind of thing.
Correct. Yes, they need to just find out where the origin of the money toad and go from there.
Ribbit. All right, Daddy. Thanks.
Right. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Love you. Bye. So there you go. Useless as a chocolate. As useful as a fucking chocolate teapot. Yeah, so what I was going to say is, if you ask one of your mates here, in the biggest show of my life, shout out your dad nicked my lawnmower, they would panic and they would deliver it like this. That would be the start of it, right? Mate, fuck, what was it again? Hold on, 2 seconds. Yes, that's it. Your dad nicked my, fuck, what was it again? Lawnmower. That's the way it would have went. So I just want to let people know that's fake news. Katrina said, I think this is our last question. Is it? No, it's our second last question. Katrina says, why am I fucking this up so bad? Says, yeah, got it. You mentioned loads about doing more acting. What's a preferred role? Are we going something serious or just straight down the comedy line? Yeah, I do definitely want to do more acting. I've kind of done bits and pieces, and I want to do more of it. Actually, I think I said this a couple weeks ago, watching Normal People made me want to act more, because I don't think I could ever act that good, obviously, but it just looked like such a fulfilling project. So what a wank. I mean, I'm already an actor, saying things like that. I mean, it was such a fulfilling project for me, he says in a turtleneck. I would love to do comedy, of course, because that's what I'm into, but I would like to do some serious stuff too. I've never done like straight type acting, you know, always play gay characters. But I would like to do some serious stuff, but comedy would probably make sense because, you know, say I do like some sort of massively serious role, and then I go, come see me do stand up. You may be a bit confused. You're like, 2 seconds ago I saw this guy, you know, crying in Hollyoaks. I mean, it wouldn't be in Hollyoaks because I just wouldn't be. It wouldn't be my vibe, you know. But yeah, I think comedy definitely. I'd like to start off by doing more comedy, like TV and film stuff, and then maybe I think once you sort of find your feet and once you feel a wee bit more comfortable in front of the camera, like acting wise, then you might do more serious stuff. But I don't know, probably consider doing anything. I'd like to do some short films as well, even if there's a really good student film. I know Dave Elliott did a student film a couple of months before lockdown and said he really enjoyed it. So I don't know, but it is something I am keeping my eye on at the minute and hoping to do more. My final question comes from Alex, who says, do you think the term Chinese virus is sly? Yeah, my man Trump has been going around. I say my man, I don't know him, but he's been going around saying like the virus comes from China. Okay, it's a Chinese virus. Do I think that's sly? Yeah, but I don't think the Chinese are really like threatened by it. Like he said about drink like fucking, what was it he said, like drink antibacterial hand wipes and you'll be sweet, you'll not have coronavirus and you'll live for 600 years. So the Chinese people are probably going, do you know what, it's not like, you know, it'd be different if Helen Mirren said it. The people of China would probably be like, that is so sly, like, what, I loved her work, why she done that. It's probably water off a duck's back at this point. You know, they're probably like, fuck it, don't worry about it. I don't know, but you know, where did the virus originate? Find out on next week's podcast. I'll be honest, I have no idea. All I gotta do is thank everybody who sent questions in. I appreciate it. The Patreon, I'm going to plug one more time, patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. I'm going to have a guest on this Friday's episode to be confirmed, and we'll just continue with business as normal after that. Guest on 1 week, so guest on one episode during a week, solo episode another. And why it's taking me so long to get 4 words out there, and then the patreon.com/teawithmepodcast, where you get the odd bonus episode. Thank you very much for watching, listening, all that kind of stuff. Appreciate yous. Keep drinking tea, keep sipping. Send me the TripAdvisor things, and let's just go through some of the worst reviews of all time. Cheers. The nation's wee brother out, Princess Diana. Cheers. R.I.P.